Welcome to the Meant for More Mindset podcast. I'm Yar. As a peak performance coach and lifestyle architect, I help women who are ready to reach their next level, eliminate negative self-talk, and break through what's been holding them back so they can have clarity, confidence, and prosperity in their career and lifestyle. This podcast is to empower you with a Meant for More mindset and help you reach your next level so you can uncover your purpose, reclaim your power, and reach your potential. This means no longer living by default, but dreaming big and pushing yourself to be, do, and have more. I want everyone to know that change is possible, that you are not alone, and there is an alternative way forward. Because when you change your mind, it will change your life. Hi everybody, and welcome to the next episode of the Meant for More Mindset with me, Yar. Today I have the lovely Sofia Strachan with me. Sofia, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you.
Okay, so hiya. So I'm Sofia, and I am the owner of Just As You Are. That's my company.
Oh, that's lovely. So can you tell us a little bit more about Just As You Are?
Yeah, so Just As You Are, I created in 2017, and I essentially go into secondary schools around London, and I deliver workshops and assemblies on PSHE topics. So that includes speaking on healthy relationships, domestic violence, teenage pregnancy, and consent.
Wow, that's amazing. So before we get into it, I've got a little bit of an icebreaker. Can you tell us something about you that most people don't know?
Okay, I have 6 cats and a rabbit. And 4
I can
children.
see one of them in the background.
Yeah.
Well, 2 of them actually in the background.
There's actually 4 on my bed right now.
I love
My
that.
house is pretty busy. There's a lot of pets. There's a lot of children. There's always something happening here. So
I love that. I love that. So can you tell us a little bit about your story, how you got to where you are today, to set up a company like Just As You Are?
Okay, yeah. So basically, the whole reason how I created Just As You Are is because, long story short, I was a teenage parent. I had 3 children by the age of 20, which sounds crazy, but 2 of them are twins, so it was a 2-in-1 type of package deal. I had my eldest daughter. I had her at 18, and then I had my twin sons when I was 20. I now have 4, but I had Kyra with a new relationship when I was 25. 26. But yeah, so I essentially was a teenage parent. I had a lot of children at a young age, and I was in an abusive relationship with their dad. And so I experienced that from my teenage years into my early 20s. I was emotionally and physically abused in that relationship. And when I finally was able to leave that relationship and escape from it, I wanted to use that experience for better. So I thought, how can I help young people? Because I always saw domestic abuse as something that happens with older women, and older people in general. Like, we know that it happens to men also, but it just seemed to me that it only happens to like older people. I never really heard it happening to teenagers and young people. So I wanted to go into schools and tell another young person that, although you may be experiencing this, you can get help. Or also, but more importantly, is to show them the warning signs that you are in an abusive relationship, because I never knew. No one ever told me that, and I only knew through going through that experience. So I wanted to help prevent that with teenagers now, at this time right now. And so that's essentially what I do. And obviously I speak about other things, about consent and friendship, so it's kind of like comes into the whole view of what relationships as a whole is about. And I also talk about teenage pregnancy in breaking the stereotypes of what a teen parent looks like.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of negativity around teenage parents, and I'm here to show them that although I was a teen parent and I'm not advocating for it, but I'm just saying that it doesn't mean your life is over, because I am now a success despite having children at such a young age. So it's kind of like breaking that stereotype and be a bit less judgy.
I love
in
it. I
society.
love
Yeah.
it. I love it. And because I heard something the other day about somebody was like, oh, I'm a cycle breaker, and somebody said, no, you're a cycle starter, and it just sounds like that's exactly what you're doing. So that's really amazing. I'm gonna go back a little bit, and in terms of domestic violence, a lot of young people don't have the language for it, or know how to identify it. So how do you help them so that they can identify
Mm.
and have language and put language to it?
Yeah, so I think one of the main like activities that I do that kind of helps the thought process start is I talk to them about red and green flags in a relationship, and we have like an open discussion. So I say, guys, do you think this phrase or this sentence is an example for green flag in a relationship or red flag in a relationship? And I will say 90% of the time the young people are quite clued up about, yeah, miss, 100% that's a red flag, 100% this is a green flag. Or I don't know, miss, maybe this one's a bit of a pinkish flag. And it kind of opens up the discussion of, do you think this is somebody who is controlling or somebody who maybe just cares a little bit? So it's opening that discussion. And I think talking about red and green flags in a relationship is something that they already have that language of red and green flags. I know have an idea, but because they're so new into being in a relationship, because you're so young, you know, you're a teenager, you're just learning how to be in a relationship for the first time. Maybe we don't have good role models from our own parents or family or outside people. We don't actually know what a healthy relationship looks like. So I'm here to kind of like break it down and say exactly actually what does a healthy relationship quite look like with them. Yeah.
Oh, that's so I really love that, because that you're not only giving language to it, you're actually advocating for them and teaching them how to advocate for themselves. Because I think when it comes to relationships, we all want to be in relationship
Yeah.
and have that connection, but do it in a healthy way. So where you're actually helping young people to be able to do that and identify that, because they may not be able to identify it for themselves, is really, really important. So I wanted to ask you, what, in terms of your work, what actually, in terms of life, really, what motivates you to kind of keep going with this type of work? Because I can imagine it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it can be a bit much, especially if like I've spent the whole day talking on like domestic violence.
Mm.
Like it's a long day, and like I'll go home and buy like a pack of Tory Bake course, like cheer myself up, like oh. But what really keeps me going is when the young people message me. So I have a TikTok, which a lot of the young people are on, and you know, like an Instagram, like a business page and stuff. And every now and again, I'll have a young person message me, and they say, "Oh, hi, Miss. I just want to let you know that what you said to me really touched me, or you really spoke to me, or you've opened up my eyes to what abusive relationships looks like, or you've made me realize what consent means, or now I know this person isn't necessarily a good friend to me." So when I get messages like that, it kind of like it motivates me to keep going, because I know that I am making a difference, and
Yeah,
at least one person has heard from me.
yeah.
It's, that makes a difference, yeah.
Oh,
And that's
that's
what keeps
amazing.
me going for sure.
So what you do is really amazing. And in terms of how did you get to a place where you're now able to advocate for yourself, and then from there go on to advocate for others?
Yeah, so I think I personally just got to a point where I kind of feel like I've healed from that chapter of my life.
Mhm.
And I wouldn't say I'm 100% healed, because I don't think I ever will be. But I think I've got to a point where mentally I can talk about it without crying. So I think once I got to that point, I said I have to. I feel like I don't want to experience what I've experienced just for nothing. Just like me personally speaking for myself, I didn't want to just go through that and then not use it for something good. So a lot of time has passed since that relationship has ended, and I feel like I'm in a place mentally. First, I have to make sure that I'm okay with it first,
Yeah.
and I've processed it, and I'm like over that chapter of my life now. So now I'm moving forward and using my story to help inspire and educate and empower other young people to, number one, like avoid going down that path in the first place if I can help prevent that. But also to number two, let them know that if they do go down that path, then you know it's okay, because there is light at the tunnel, you can get out and be free. So I think it was important for me just to make sure that I'm okay first, and then to be able to let other people like hear what I have to say, basically. Yeah.
So how did you get your voice back so that you're now able to shine light on others?
Um, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure, like, if what turning point there was. I think I think initially I wanted to speak on the breaking the stereotypes of teenage parents. I felt so strongly about working with young people, young mothers and fathers to help the injustice that they've received from society and that they're very marginalized. And then with that, I thought, okay, well, I can also go into schools and talk about that and domestic abuse and healthy relationships and so on. So I don't know if there was actually like a one moment in time where my mind just like switched and thought, yeah, I'm okay to do that. But it just, I don't know, it just kind of happened.
It's fine. Because I think most people don't know, but it's kind of like because they're just you're constantly doing that you don't think about, well, why do I? And so is it something that's always been within you, or is it something that you've actually learned and now you're in a place where now I have my voice back and I'm using it?
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit like rebellious and like don't really like to be told what to do. So I think coming out of such an abusive relationship where I was constantly told what to do
Mm.
and when I cannot talk and all these type of things and everything was so controlled in my life. I think once I was free of that, I was kind of like back to my previous self and I was like, I will not be silenced anymore and I will not feel shame about what I've experienced. I won't be victim blamed about what I've experienced. So no, F you type of thing. I'm going to use my voice and tell other people what happened in my life and my story to help empower other people. And that was me taking back control over my life, I think. Yeah.
I just think that's amazing. I think your whole story is amazing. In the sense that you're you're in the place where, like you talked about earlier, about being marginalized as a teenage parent, and you've overcome that hurdle as well as the domestic abuse that you suffered to get to where you are today. So, do you mind touching on the stereotypes or the marginalized? I don't even know if it's a word, but marginalization that you felt being a teen mum, and then how you overcame that. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I think when I was pregnant with my daughter, I had nothing but like enjoyment and happiness. Like I was like so excited. There wasn't even like a thought about whether I was going to keep her or not.
Mhm.
Like it was just I'm pregnant. This is what's happening now. I'm now a mom. When I was 17, so like, but then other people started saying like little things to me all the time, and even when I had the boys, they were like, oh, and apparently I look really young as well. So they were like, oh, why are you not at school? And I was like, I don't go to school. So I was like at college and uni. But and then like they'll just say little things like, oh, they're all from the same dad. Like they will just assume that I don't know, because I'm young, I must be promiscuous or like it's such a bad thing to have children of multiple fathers or something. Or they would say, oh no, like oh, you're pregnant. When like, especially when I was younger, with my first one, they're like, oh no, instead of like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Or it was just be like, oh, what are you going to do? And it was just every interaction that I had when I was pregnant, when I was younger, was always negative, and it kind of put a dampener on my spirit. And I was just like, oh, okay, I thought this was supposed to be a happy occasion, but clearly not. So that annoyed me and that irritated me, kind of like people like stealing my happiness from me, and that irritated me, and I didn't want other teenage parents to also like experience that because just because society says you're not ready. And I know that as we get older, and especially now I'm in my 30s, like how I parent my youngest is very different to how I parented my my elder children, because as we go through life, we do get more mature and more wisdom and stuff.
Mhm.
But it doesn't make you a bad parent just because you're a teenager, just maybe a little bit more guidance.
Yeah, I love that. And I heard in there that you also went to college and university. How did
Yeah.
you do that? with
Yeah,
kids.
it was insane. So I went to uni when my eldest when she was 1, and then yeah, and as I enrolled to uni, that's when I found out I was pregnant with my sons.
Mm.
So I said to my mum, I don't know if I can do this. She was like, "You're not dying, Sophie, you're just pregnant. Like, just get over it, go to uni." So I went. And my first year of uni, I was pregnant, and I was massive because I had twins, and I was traveling from North to East London, there and up every day, and it was a lot. And during that time, I was also in an abusive relationship, and I was moving 10,000 times, and it was just a lot: social services, police, family pressure, my own mental health insanity, and then having to to meet deadlines at uni, like work and like in coursework and stuff. It was a lot was going on. Um, Me for myself, my faith is what really kept me afloat, and I don't know what I would have done if I didn't have my faith like in my life. So that's what really kept me going. And yeah, it was a crazy time. It was a crazy few years, but I made it through, and I graduated. So with 3 kids, so it was cool. I literally gave birth in June. I went back to uni in October and just carried on, kept it moving. Yeah.
Amazing. That is wow. And then what you've also spoken about there is your faith, and I would really love for you to speak a little bit about that and how that's helped you and guided you through to get to where you are today.
Yeah, like I say this all the time to like my friends and stuff. Like if I never had God, like had that level of faith and that relationship in my heart, I definitely would have gone down a very deep and dark path. And I definitely empathize with people who don't necessarily have like a strong faith or something that they can lean on and rely on, because you do end up seeking solace in other things that aren't necessarily healthy for you, like
Yeah.
for example drink, drugs, sex, whatever it may be, whatever your outlet is. So I felt like I had that, and because I did, it kept me strong. Like there was many times where my mental health took a bit of a battering, and there were a lot of dark times, like alone times, where a lot of dark thoughts were trying to like enter my mind, but I was just rely on God, and that it really, really solidified my life to make everything kind of like calm.
Yeah.
And that period of my life was anything but calm. It was very turbulent, but there was always a level of stillness within me that that just kept me going. And I don't know how to explain it. I just think if you know, you know. So type of thing. Yeah.
I hear that. So
Mm.
what I would want to ask you is, what's one thing that you wish you would have known when you started on this journey of motherhood?
Oh, one thing. I think the person who you have a child with is very important,
Mm.
because that is for life. And of course, in hindsight, is great to know very you could foresee the future.
Mhm.
However, if I didn't experience what I went through with their dad, then just as you are wouldn't have been created. And then therefore the lives and the young people that I interact with on a daily basis maybe wouldn't have heard my story, because there wouldn't be a story. And
Yeah.
they may potentially have ended up down a path that maybe I somehow have knocked that course off track. Like who knows? So and yeah, I think that's one of the main things
Yeah.
for me. I think is choosing the partner correctly. But I think just over parenthood, you just have to go with the flow. Really, there's literally no rule book. Yeah, I
So,
think, yeah.
oh, sorry, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, like they say, it gets easier as they get older, but actually, in fact, I don't think it does. I think as they get older, there's different challenges as
Mm,
teenagers, and
yeah,
yeah, we'll see how it goes.
yeah. When you first started, just as you are, is there something that you think that if I'd have known this thing, it would have helped me run the business or school or going to schools easier? Is there anything that would have helped that with that part of it?
Oh, okay. Like I don't know. I'm not sure, because I guess I'm kind of like a trial and error type of person.
Mm.
I think I've just kind of like started it with an idea and vision and just kind of like done it and learned how I've got along. I think maybe practically would be good to, I don't know if this is what you're asking, but practically to know things like legally how running a business works
Mhm.
with like you know, I don't know, paying the taxes, corporate tax and registering this and doing that. I don't know if that's what you mean, but like yeah, doing things um not professionally, but like I think sometimes I run off emotion. Like I just want to go into the schools and just teach. I just talk to young people. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of legal stuff that goes on behind the scenes that you have to do as a business owner, which sometimes I struggle with.
Yeah, no, you answered the question perfectly, and it's that whole idea of as the business, you want to go and do the stuff that the business says it does, but because it's a business, it also needs to be run in a certain way in terms of legality, in terms of um, all the things that you've already mentioned. And yeah, so it's a good idea because I think a lot of people kind of can get discouraged when they don't know like what direction to kind of go in. So it's just kind of like, oh, do I do this or do I do that? And the fact that you've spoken about it, I think is really because nobody really thinks about tax when they start a business. They're just like, oh, I've got a business idea. I want,
Yeah,
you know. And,
exactly.
and in terms of legalities as well, in working in schools, because obviously there's things that you have to do, like such as safeguarding, the
DBS.
yeah, those kind of things. So, how did you actually get into schools? Because obviously, because of things like that, there is a higher barrier to entries. How did you manage to navigate that path?
Yeah, well, I've always had a DBS because I even from college,
Mhm.
I was studying to be a nursery nurse. I was doing childcare education, so I've always had to have a DBS from when I was started college from 16. So I've been used to that process and understood how that works. And also I've been in schools before, again because of schools and slash nurseries
Yeah.
because of that from what I studied before. But I essentially I created my company, I made a website, made social media, and I just started emailing schools. I just started emailing them, talking about what I can offer their school, my story, and it just kind of catapulted from there. Really,
Because
schools would book me, and I would get schools would reach out to me, or like a school would be like, "Oh, you worked at this school or at our sister school, would like you to come in to speak to our school." So it was just me, just kind of like bombarding schools with lots of emails saying, "Book me." So that's kind of like how it happens.
oh, that's
Yeah.
amazing. So, what resources do you think have helped you along the way?
Well, like getting into the schools and having like recommendations, like other schools have contacted me saying like you spoke at this school and I heard it was really good, so I would like to book you in. I create my own lesson plans, so um, I just do that and go off with what is like the current um not topics, but current things that's trending at the moment.
Yeah.
So like when there was and Andrew Tate was a big thing about misogyny and stuff, I have a lot of schools ask me about that. So I'd have to go and research, about like misogyny and everything about that. When the Me Too was out as well, with a lot of things about that and consent wise and stuff. Do research on that. What is like what young people are thinking about that, what is society thinking about that, and so it's very much keeping up to date with what is going on within society. And also I have three teenagers who are in secondary school, so they very much keep me in the loop about things that is kind of like happening with their age, because I'm not their age. I am in my 30s, so I obviously there I do like I remember what's like to be a teenager, but the teenagers is of this generation is very different, but the same but different at the same time. So
Yeah.
it's like what is current now. So they very much keep me in the loop about that. Also work in a youth club. So a lot of things that the young people come and talk to me about, I'm like, okay, so if you guys are experiencing this, then possibly other teenagers around London are also experiencing this. Let me add this into my lesson plan or a discussion topic that I can speak with when I go into schools and things like that.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna pivot a little bit and ask, what has been your have you considered your biggest failure, and what did you learn from it?
Oh yeah. So at the early stages of setting up Just As You Are, I did set up a teenage parents group.
Mm.
So I was in a community centre, and I was there I think for like 2 or 3 months or something like that, around that time. It was a little bit of a while. And I was there like every Tuesday, for example. I was there like every Tuesday, and I would advertise it, but like no one came. I think just one person ever came, one young person ever came. So you could see that as a failure, because I was there, had all the resources, I was ready and willing to go and make impacts with young parents' lives, but it just didn't happen. Like they just didn't turn up. So I think learning from that is like, number one, just got to keep going. Number two, maybe just wasn't the right time, because I just started the company, and I maybe at that time I needed to be in schools. And then, I will definitely reopen another teenage parent like support group, but maybe just at that time it just wasn't the right time. So I think that was definitely like, okay, it's fine, but you still got to turn up, because you never know if you may turn up or not. But that's obviously it's come to an end now. But yeah, that was something that didn't necessarily work out to plan.
And no, it's really interesting that you say that, because I used to, well, I still do work with young people in youth clubs as well. And I find that what works with young people is food, preferably chicken,
Yeah,
pizza, and sweets. So
yeah,
when you do start it back up, definitely consider
yeah,
it as a pizza party, or a chicken and
yeah.
pizza party and sweets. Like
That's
those
a good
things,
idea.
those things
That's a
are
good
just
idea.
kind of like, oh, they'll be like, oh, I don't know if I want to come. Maybe I want to come. And then you say, oh, there'll be pizza.
I'm coming. I'll be the first one there. That's a good one. Yeah, it's true.
What has been like a fear of yours that's kind of you think has held you back?
Mm. I think it's doing it again, and
Mm,
will the same thing happen again?
yeah.
Because I can kind of use it as an excuse. Oh, I was very early on in my, establishment. When the business got established. Oh, I was a bit unexperienced, so that's fine why it didn't work. But now I'm like super established, so will I feel embarrassed if I was to do it? And then like no one comes now, so no one comes like still. So it's like, oh, so am I the problem? So maybe it's a bit of like confidence, and how can I utilize my experience of what I've done so far, how I can make it now a success, how I can get young parents to now come to my support group. So I think maybe it's just a bit of confidence thing, maybe, of restarting that one.
So, in terms of when you were a young parent, what do you think would have helped you the most in terms of your own personal and professional growth?
I think someone that's kind of like is walking your journey with you. Like someone who, like, I am naturally an introvert. I like to stay in the house. I don't really like to like talk to people, go out there and network, and it kind of fills me with dread a bit. So if someone is there to like give a bit of encouragement to build your self-esteem, build your confidence. It's like, yes, you can do it. And like practically, not just say, oh, I think you should do this, actually practically get out the laptop or come with me to this place. And it's kind of a bit of like a holding hands thing, but sometimes people needs that. And then once you've kind of like held their hand up to a certain point, they kind of feel like, okay, I got it from here, and I can kind of do it by myself, because I have that confidence boost, or like thinking, oh, okay, yeah, I feel like I can actually do it myself now. So I think practically helping people instead of just saying, I think you should do this, actually give a bit of direction and actually practically do it with them.
Yeah,
And I think that kind of helps. Yeah.
I think so. So you said that you're an introvert. How does an introvert get into this type of work? Because I think that's amazing. The fact that you say you're an introvert, but obviously a lot of the work that you do involves speaking. So how does that happen?
I don't even know if I'm being honest, because I yeah, I think when I first did it, obviously with practice, it becomes easier and stuff. But I think because I think it'd be different if I was speaking in a room full of adults.
Yeah.
I think because they're younger people and they're actually really kind. Like I've never had a negative experience in the school with young people. They're always so polite, they're always so friendly, and it kind of gives me that boost. Like, okay, yeah, I'm doing good, type of thing. But I think it's just knowing what I'm there for. And it's kind of like, yes, I am shy. Yes, I am naturally an introverted person, but I'm here to do something. And if I don't stand up there and talk about consent and domestic abuse and what a healthy relationship looks like, then who is? And I know there are lots of people that do that talk. I'm not the only person that goes into schools and does these talks, but no one's going to talk about how I talk about it. And maybe what works, maybe that's something that I could say which is different to what somebody else says can get through to that person. So I need to get over myself and get over the fact that I'm shy and stand up there in front of the school and talk, and then just not talk to anybody else for the rest of the week because I'm tired of talking to people. But yeah, it's just kind of like, just get over it. You have a job to do, and with practice it just becomes easier. It doesn't daunt me anymore to be in a massive assembly hall with lots of teenagers, because what I'm saying is impactful. So I just have to get over it.
And I think representation matters too, because I don't know about you, but growing up, I would never have seen somebody that would have looked like you come into our school to talk about those kind of things. It probably would have been somebody white, if I'm not just being honest. And so that you're able to do that, to have somebody that looks like you is, I think, is so impactful as well for young people as well, because there is such a stigma around, I would say, people of color when it comes to teenage pregnancies. Like you've brought shame to the household, and the fact that you're able to talk about it, I think, really does help. So kudos to you and all the work that you're doing there.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it really does. And teachers say, oh yeah, we want to get somebody young to come in and speak to young people. Someone that looks like you, wears like jeans and trainers, like comes in and talks to young people and stuff. Like, what I'm saying is literally what the teachers say, or maybe what the parents say, like if they do have that talk at home. But but teachers do say that, yes, miss, actually the young people like were so excited after your session, they kept speaking about what you spoke about and things like that. So if there is like young black mixed race young people that's sitting there thinking like, okay, well, like she's gone through certain things that, like, whatever, I can more relate to that person because I see myself in that person. And if that's what works, then that's what works, and that's what I'm here for, you know.
And you're someone who sounds like you've overcome like lots of your own fears and lots of your own barriers to get to where you are. So how I know this may sound like a bit of a strange question, or maybe not. How have you done that?
Have I done what, come over my own
Yeah, like
barriers?
your own fears and like things that you like other people would see like as, oh no, actually this is something that's gonna stop me, so I'm not gonna do that. Like for example, you said that you're an introvert, but yet you speak to lots of people and you found ways to overcome it. So like how do you do that to get to a place where you're not just in empowering people, you're inspiring them and shining your light on them so that they can also shine too?
I think because because I'm so passionate about what I do,
Oh,
like it overrides my fear of not of like being up on stage. I kind of think that yeah, if I don't do it, then I kind of think in my head that no one else will. And
yeah,
like I would hate for the fact for another young person to experience what I've experienced, I
yeah,
would hate for them to end up in an abusive relationship just because Sophia was too shy to go and talk in that school. Like that would break my heart. And even if I do go to school and they still end up in an abusive relationship, at least I've tried. And at least, I've tried to make a difference. So it's kind of like seeing it for the greater good. Like, yes, I'm shy. Yes, and then sometimes I do get nervous. Don't get me wrong. Like, sometimes I do get a bit nervous. Like, oh, okay, this is this is a bigger school than expected. Oh, this is a louder school than expected. Oh God, are they gonna like boom your stage? But it's thinking like it's for the greater good. So it's important. It's important that I go in there and I talk about these things because it could help potentially save a life, because we know that people die from domestic abuse all the time, and I don't want these young people, like worst case scenario, like to be another statistic, and or even just going through life and having like good friends around them, having healthy friendships, and to talking to young people about consent and speaking up if they've ever been sexually abused or raped and stuff like that. These are not things that are taught normally in schools or at home. It was certainly wasn't spoken about when I was at home or when I was at school either. PSHE didn't really exist. So it's like I'm going to talk about these taboo topics because the teachers might feel shy or parents might feel shy to talk about it. So I need to do it. So I need to get over my fear in order to make a difference. That's what goes on in my mind.
That's amazing. So what I want to ask is, how did you, I really am interested to know, how did, the very first time you did it, how did you do it the very first time? Because that is like I guess the thing that sets everything else in motion.
Yeah, you always remember your first time in doing anything in life, right? So I always remember my first booking was in a school in South London, and it was year nines, which is like the pivotal year, I think. And I was with a colleague of mine who was with me at the time doing it because they wanted two facilitators.
Mhm.
And we thought, I don't know why, but we thought that we'll both be together teaching the class. But so when we got there, they were like, no, you're going to be speaking in the class by yourself, you're going to speak in the class by yourself. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, pick me up TMI, but I actually wanted to do a nervous poo because I was so nervous. I don't know if anyone gets that, but I was so nervous. I was like, oh my days.
Yeah.
So I was very much thrown in at the deep end, and the kids were rowdy, they were loud. I was speaking about, I think I was speaking about consent and sex. So, and I did like anonymous questions, and the type of questions they were asking, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like the first time that people are asking me this. I was nervous. I sped through the slides so quick. We had like 15 minutes left of just awkward silence. So it was, but after that, I feel like if I could do that, and even after that, I had good feedback, let alone what I've been done since. So that was my first time. And I think if that hadn't have been my first experience, it wouldn't have been very good. I think I like that I was very much thrown in the deep end with the most loudest of kids, with the most awkwardest of topics, with the like shock of having to do it by myself with year nines. It really I was like, if I could do that, I could do anything. So, and I couldn't just walk out and leave because they had booked me and paid me to come and speak to young people. So I had no choice. I had to do it. Yeah.
I love that. So you're someone who does a lot. How do you fit it all in?
I don't I just find time. I just find time, and yeah, it's just good time management, I guess, I suppose. I do the schoolwork and everything, like my other jobs, I fit it around. I obviously have a lot of spare time, like I don't work on the weekends, I don't work during school holidays, so I still have time for myself and my children also. So yeah, that's how I do.
And then what I wanted to ask you next is, what excites you the most about the next 12 months?
Okay, yeah. So I have a lot of ideas and visions of how to like expand just as you are. I really want to get out to a lot of the coastal towns, lot coastal schools. So I kind of feel like the big cities kind of have a lot of like funding or a lot of stuff that they can give to their schools, but a lot of schools by the seaside kind of get forgotten about. So I'd like to like reach out to those schools. I'm also creating resource packs and lesson plans for schools. So if a school like all the way up north in like Manchester or Liverpool or Scotland, I'm London based, it'd be a bit difficult for me to get up there. Or so they can like buy my resources and like teachers can teach that also. So I'm creating lesson plans and packs for teachers that they can kind of like do themselves if they can't or even book me in. And also, I kind of feel empowered to like restart the teenage pregnancy parent support group as well. Also, like just through having this conversation, like really start that back up as well. So it's exciting. There's so much more that I can do if this company expands it.
That's amazing. And how do you, I know you said that you've got a lot of time off to be able to take care of yourself and your family, but how do you make time for yourself so you fit that time in for yourself in particular? Because if you're not, if you don't work, nothing else works.
Yeah, of course. I mean, during the week it is quite busy. There's always something that I'm having to do, that I'm working and stuff. But I know I need to do that in order to have downtime and be able to like relax and clear your mind. I personally like to like reset my own mind, or if I had like a particularly challenging day out of school because I'm speaking on like a heavy subject or stuff that's going on at home or whatever it is. I like to like come out of London and go to the seaside or whatever it is, or go for a drive and just listen to music. Like just to like to make sure, because if you're not okay, the house is not okay, the business won't be okay, and kind of people feed off your energy. So kind of like got to make sure that you're all right. Otherwise, nothing else will be.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what I do. Just hang out with the cats because they're cool.
They seem really cool. I've seen them move a lot, go back and forth in the background. They just seem really chill. They seem like I'm not a pet person, but if I was to ever get a pet, it would be a cat. And your cats seem like really, really chill. They seem like the kind of cats you want to have.
Yeah, do it 100%. Get a cat.
Thank you. What advice would you give to a woman who wants to go to her next level but isn't sure where or how to start?
Okay. I think first of all, think of your idea and your vision, and if you really want to do it, because I can tell you now, running a business is not easy. Like, so you have to make sure that you have that passion and that drive to see through the hard times, the lonely times when you're not motivated. Like, so make sure you do something that you absolutely want to do, not something that you just want to make money from, because you can just get a 9 to 5 and do that. So 100% make sure you're really passionate about it. And number two, practical things, company's house, registering, tax, VAT, all that, all that legal stuff, which is important to do. And then just kind of like just do it. Because I think we always want to wait for the perfect time, or I'll do it when I get this little bit more money, or when I'm a little bit more settled, or maybe I'll do it like whenever. We're always trying to think of the perfect time, but there never will be a perfect time. You just kind of like have to set a realistic goal. In the next 6 months, for example, I want to have established my business or get it started. And make sure you do it. Don't let 7 months go by and you haven't done it yet, because you're just, just talking and not doing it. You just kind of like have to take that leap of faith and just do it. And if it doesn't work out, it's fine, but at least you've tried it. At least you've tried to do it and learn from it, So you just do it. Do your research, make sure you're passionate about it, and just go out there. Because if you don't do it, someone else is going to do it.
That's very true.
And no one's better at doing it apart from yourself. So
that's very, very true. And so my final question then is, what gives you a meant for more mindset?
I think it's just I truly believe that everything happens for a reason. And I know that so yeah, nothing happens by mistake, nothing happens by accident. We're speaking for a reason. Everything that I've gone through, you've gone through, this is why we're speaking right now, which I think is like mind-blowing, like fills me with excitement, and so we are all put on this planet and this earth for a reason. My reason, I believe, is to help young people. I've always had a passion for it, and that they have my heart, young people and children. So I feel like that's my goal in life. So I need to make sure that I do it. Otherwise, I'm just sitting here and my time on earth isn't being used wisely. So I want to make sure that I am, doing that, because that's what I feel like I'm here to do, type of thing.
Oh, I love that. I really, really, really love that. So, Sophia, I just want to acknowledge you for all that you do, all that you have done, and all that you've been through, and the fact that you have chosen to, instead of stay small, you actually there's a lovely quote that I love by a lady called Marianne Williamson that says, "Your playing small doesn't serve the world," and you're serving the world in such a big way. You're showing up and showing out, and so that other people can do the same, especially young people who are our future, and help guiding them along their path. And you're brilliant. And when I say brilliant, not just brilliant as in the person, but brilliant in the sense of you're such a bright light, and that bright light really does shine on so many others, so that not just you, not just the young people you help, but also the young people in your own life, your children, and everybody around you. So I just want to say thank you for being you, thank you for the work that you do, and please continue.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. That was really fun.
Welcome. You're more than welcome. Please let our listeners know where they can connect with you online.
Twitter and Instagram, which is Just As You Are. I have a website, Just As You Are as well. And for the younger folk, there's TikTok, and I'm on LinkedIn also, Sofia Strachan. So yeah, that's me.
I'll put that all in the show notes. And I just want to ask, in terms of the website, is that .com or .co.uk?
It's Just As You Are 17.weebly.co.uk. It's a long one.
I'll put that in the show notes, so that people can just click on the link and they can go to it. So that is it. Thank you so much again, Sophia. That's it, you guys. We should see you on the next video. But before I go, I just want to say, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And we shall definitely see you on the next one. Take care. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. For more about me and what I do, check out my website, nextlevelcoachinggroup.com, where you can also download my free Release Your Mindset Blocks guide. You can also follow me on Instagram at Next Level Coaching Group, or on Facebook at Next Level Lounge. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any upcoming episodes. And if you enjoyed this episode, please leave me a rating and review. Thanks. See you on the next one.